And it's still a beautiful morning. If you have messages that you want to send through to us, use the WhatsApp line 020-444-7033. And of course, if you're texting us from beyond the shores of Ghana, use the country code +233. The hashtag Breakfast Daily is also available for your use across all social media platforms. Use it and we will see you and we will hear you. Now it's time to have a conversation with some very talented people. They have done something and are doing something that we believe needs to be celebrated, and that's why they're in our studios this morning. Now, for those of you who don't know about the Bethel Revival Choir yet, I don't know where you've been. You're lost somewhere in space or something, because they have brought a lot of fire to the Ghana gospel music scene and beyond with their intertwining of traditional Ewe sounds into contemporary gospel music. And look, it's been a joy to see them grow, to see them do the things that they're doing, to rack up the awards. And for us at Citi TV and Citi FM, they are peoples. So when they do something, we're right there with them, and we deem it our place and our mandate to celebrate them. So at this point, I will introduce to you, I have here in the studio with me, David Boahini. He's a manager of the Bethel Revival Choir. I also have Priscilla Nyami. She's a member of the Bethel Revival Choir. She's a lead vocal on the Untold, which we are going to be speaking about this morning. And then we also have, who's fast become the legendary Akosia Kweno. She's a filmmaker and executive producer of The Untold. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so I'm going to read a little bit to you about who Akosia is, so that you know that we are sitting in the presence of royalty. Can't just be looking at her for free like that. So Akosia Baye Kweno is a filmmaker. She's a graduate of the National Film and Television Institute, NAFTI. Her vast experience lies in documentary filmmaking and has worked on varying documentary projects since the year 2000. She's done several documentaries for the companies and entities such as Anglo Gold Ashanti, Ministry of Sports, Unilever Ghana, Ministry of Roads and Transport, Nestle Ghana. I mean, you name it. So many. And she's also directed international documentaries. She's worked with 2 German film productions, Anansi and Welcome Home. And currently, she's on a mission. She's documenting Ghana. And she started off with the Ishmael Yamson story. It's the first of the stories to be featured under the Documenting Ghana series. And this is based on her quest to document stories of people who have influenced the fortunes of Ghana. Her belief is that we've not done that very well, and I honestly agree. For over and over again, we come here, we go on there, we tweet, we post on Facebook, post on Instagram, tooting the narrative that we should be telling our own stories, that we should control our own narrative. And she's doing that in some way, shape, or form. And Bethel Revival Choir has partnered her to produce the soundtrack for this brilliant documentary series that we're talking about. So let's take a look at The Untold, and then we come back and we have a bit of a conversation.
Destinies of the great, greats of the past. ruler is useless, you depose him. And therefore we have deposed Kwame Nkrumah.
The rains have brought the birth of the suffering of this country for too long. They've brought bloodshed. So for heaven's sake, do not beg in the rain.
There you have it, The Untold, and welcome back to the studio. So I will start with you, because you're the filmmaker, right? Why did you choose to work with the Bethel Revival Choir on this project?
I had decided to do this project post-COVID. I wasn't in the country, I live in the US. And one day my uncle sent me a video of Vadem Kaba. I watched it, I was like, wow, is this coming from Ghana? So I immediately looked them up, and I think I contacted David immediately, and I said, I'm floored by, the way you use the orchestra intertwined with African sound, because I wanted something like that for my film, which is the series called Documenting Ghana. So when we came and we started filming the series, I got in touch with David, and David introduced me to Henry, and then the choir, and then Priscilla, and then Pastor Helen came in. I wanted Pastor Helen because I had heard her sing Hola, and her voice was just amazing. So that's how this happened. It started with me hearing Vadem Kaba, and I was sold.
Yeah. Now I'll stay with you before I come to David and Priscilla. Who is Ishmael Yamson? Because this is the first in the series that the story that you're telling, and like you said, untold.
Yes.
These are untold stories.
Yes.
So who is he, and why is his story necessary to be told for the posterity's sake of Ghana?
To begin with, I started with the idea that we haven't told our stories as a country. People have influenced us, our own people have influenced us both positively and negatively, but we haven't documented these stories for posterity, either as inspiration or as cautionary tales. So I decided to do one. And Mr. Ishmael Yamson is one person who has quietly influenced the fortunes of this country, especially in the business sector. But not much is known about him. And also, Ghanaians are very private. So it's difficult to approach them to say, I want you to tell me your story, especially when we want to go down and tell me everything about your life, and then me going to research it and film it. Thankfully, I'll say luck was on my side because I had known him before I left the country. Okay. So accessing him wasn't that difficult.
I'm sure he also trusted you.
Yes.
Because there was that rapport.
Yeah, but it took a lot of convincing because he was hesitant in the beginning because, it's difficult. People don't like, as I said, we are very private people as a country. So people don't like throwing themselves out when they are not sure how you're going to manage their images. But I think that having worked with me a little prior to my leaving the country, he got to understand the caliber of work I do. So he was convinced. But I think the convincing point was, it's not about you. It's about this country. Put your story down for posterity to take inspiration from, for the younger ones coming after us to get inspiration from that. I think that was what sold it for him.
Wonderful. So David, let me come to you. When Akosia reached out to you, what made you say, yes, we'll do this? Because I know how seriously Bethel Revival takes their music, your work. And I know that even to come out with one single, you're brewing and reworking and questioning everything. I know you people. So what made you say, this we need to do?
Okay, so when Akosia reached out, as you said, how we do our things. So the first thought that came to mind was, is it going to be on the wrong side of Bethel Revival Choir? And with the partnership we have with other people, especially with Citi, and our name goes with Citi. So when we are doing certain things, we want to be very sure that we are not going contrary to what we do. So she reached out and she said, okay, it's about Ghana, and that was what drew my interest in the first place. So she told me everything about it, and I reached out to Henry, and I was like, Henry, do you have the time to do this? Because he needed to do the main work, the production work. And I shared the idea with him, and already where we had thoughts of documenting everything we do, but we didn't have the capacity to do Ghana, but we wanted to do something like just for Bethel, documenting our things. So immediately it came like documenting something. We're like, okay, that's a good idea, let's look into it. Then we started working on it. Akosia came down, she shared the idea, we started putting things together. That was how come Bethel came in. We said, okay, Bethel should do the backing vocals, and Priscilla and Pastor Helen had to come in, and this was what we were able to produce.
Brilliant. So let me come to you, Priscilla. What has it been like working on this project for you?
It's been amazing. It's been wonderful, honestly. Recording this song, I even cried.
And your voice, your voice.
I cried actually.
And
each time I hear this, I always shed a tear. I try to cover it up. So it has been amazing. It's been amazing.
What did you have to do as a vocalist to bring out that kind of emotion? So there's emotion in there, there's depth, there's power. And maybe I'm hearing it from the perspective of an artist, but rightly so. I think anyone who hears it even hears the depth of the heritage, the past that is carried through the music before they even realize that, oh, this is what the lyrics are saying.
Yes.
What did you have to do to get to that point as a vocalist?
I have to off the light. I had to think deep, try to put myself in the situation, and then we have to off the light as well for me to be able to actually delve in and bring that out.
Yeah, beautiful. So, Akosia, what's next with Untold? Where can we find this treasure? And what's next? Maybe you don't want to spill too many of the beans, but what's next in the series, and how can Ghanaians also support so that we document some of these stories?
Thank you. I think what's next is that we're going to show it. We premiered it last Sunday at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel. So it's going to show on a sister station as a series starting in December.
Okay.
Because we want everybody in the farthest part of wherever you are to be able to see these stories and take inspiration from Ishmael Hampson's story. And I think that they were there for the premiere. I think they left the premiere feeling that glad that they were part of telling the story. And again, please, Priscilla, she's been amazing. She says it so casually, but to be able to, because I needed to create the chapter of our country where we went through turbulence.
Yeah.
All the coup d'etats, the killings and all that. And for her to change that from deep, I think we took a lot out of her, and Pastor Helen too. So I think they've done fantastic. And then looking forward, we're going to do the next personality, but I'm not giving that away yet. But we're working on doing the next personality next year.
Wonderful. So, look, it's been wonderful speaking to you this morning.
Thank you.
I am just in awe, which the Bethel Revival Choir never ceases to amaze me, so there's no shock there. Akosia, your work, may this be the best yet.
Thank you.
And just like we've been talking about prosperity and documentation, may this become an archive, a go-to archive for people who need to learn, the names that are not loud and out there, because not all of us do things that allow us to be superstars and in everyone's face.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people who have contributed to Ghana, to the lives of Ghanaians, and thank you. Thank you for taking time, using your craft to document those stories.
Thank you. And I was watching the professor that, Professor Yaira.
Yeah, she's a perfect candidate, isn't she?
I was like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. And I also like to use the opportunity to encourage that organizations that have been tasked to archiving our materials, they should be given the needed support. Because when we make these films, and they're not properly archived, because I can't be the only person holding on to them. I would love to send them to a reputable place where they can be kept for posterities, for our children to come in and have a look, to take inspiration from. So they need the support that they can get so that these films can be accessed even after it's been shown on the television.
So the National Film Authority, the National Folklore Board, Commission on Culture, Creative Arts Agency, they are coming to you. They're coming to you because we have work to do. And again, for Citi, this means a lot to us because this year we've been working a lot. We have a Make It Ghana campaign. Our pillars for that are tourism, investment, but also film. And so we're very excited that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I've had in the studio with me David Wahin. He's the manager of the Bethel Revival Choir. Akosia Baye Kweno, she's a filmmaker and executive producer of The Untold, which we just saw snippets of. And then Priscilla Nyami, she's a member of the Bethel Revival Choir, and she's a lead vocal on The Untold. And we've seen and heard what she has done and what she can do, So if you're looking for vocalists to do brilliant things, to come to Bethel. All right, so let's take a look at the video one more time, The Untold, and then we come back and continue the show.
Stories untold. As lives unfold.
When the African is given a chance, he can show to the world that he's somebody.
To know the journey.
And so that after all, the black man is capable of managing all of us.
Destinies on the grave.